Someone like Khan could play different picks up in the top lane. That Vladimir did not work out for him.
Right, I thought they did several things well. The draft phase going against Kingzone, as well as the early game and trying to snowball that. So that is something that EVOS will look to replicate here and try and copy the success that Fnatic had earlier in the day. Maybe look for some early game action.
All right, we're getting into Champion Select here. We aren't going to get to see Kingzone play the Xayah Rakan like they did in the game earlier. Rakan going back to ban status here as EVOS bans that one away.
Wow.
A lot of support focus. Rakan, Morgana, TK, all banned away by EVOS. Kingzone going with Alistar, another support, and the Kazakhs.
So what I'm thinking when I look at these bans is they want to get rid of some of the more defensive supports for Gorilla, like a Black Shield being one of them, a Tahm Kench Devour another one, to maybe just hard camp that bot lane. They really want to get Gorilla on a squishy support where he might be pushing, but there's still Braum available he could play if he wants just to melee tank.
Yeah, we're definitely getting down there as far as the support bans, but Braum has been one of the premier ones and one of the only ones left
Oh,
up
love me some
still.
Ornn.
All right, well, Ornn is locked in for EVOS, and if you look at the other bans for Kingzone, of course, Kazakhs and Graves, two of the big viable carry junglers right now, kept out of the hands of Yijin.
Well, we saw Yijin, of course, play the Zac yesterday against Team Liquid, which was very effective in a all-in team fight comp. And when you first pick the Ornn, you're kind of already telling everyone that you want to team fight. And I think Ornn has become the best top lane pick right now for most teams because he's very easy to execute, and he just allows you to draft these big 5-on-5 comps.
And while we did see, you know, the Ornn success Whippo was able to show versus Khan earlier in the day, that was after they had already gotten, you know, Khan onto the Vladimir. Khan has a lot more options this time around. Plus, Pina is on Trundle, you know, good duelist jungle, a lot more early control. And they have also been able to get the #1 pick coming into this, Kai'Sa for Bray.
I mean, if they pick a tank, you pick a tank eater. If they pick anything, you pick Kai'Sa. Pretty good draft coming in so far for Kingzone.
Yeah, this pick was so good that a Kingzone could just play it every single game in the LCK finals, and it was good enough to win the LCK, so it should also be good enough to beat EVOS if we compare the two strengths of teams from LCK and EVOS here, but maybe they can surprise us.
Yeah, after the LCK finals, I was really happy about how Kingzone had manipulated the entire pick and ban phase into lots of tanks and lots of sources of crowd control to set up Plasma for Kai'Sa. Even in the first two picks here, Trundle Pillar is a great ranged ability that you can actually set up Kai'Sa with, get the Plasma and get her more options to jump around in team fights. Now they've also added Braum onto that.
CC.
So you get even more taste.
And even better, we get one of the very standard picks for Gorilla, one of the picks where you can leave the bot lane alone and they can actually protect themselves even against a ganking jungler. That's kind of the big thing for Kingzone's bot lanes. When they play the squishy supports, they can actually get ganked and die.
Or they can actually, even as we already saw when he was on Kai'Sa, they can focus bottom lane. We're so used to them just leaving Gorilla and letting Gorilla, you know, go low econ. But if you have a Kai'Sa, you can also funnel extra money into this and have him carry super hard.
Now, I am also really happy, actually, with what EVOS is doing on their side. Because I think Ornn, as we highlighted before, great top lane pick for them. And Varus down in the bot lane has been a very successful champion already doing MSI. Because he allows you to play around bottom side with CC from your AD carry, and then chain that with CC from a Thresh. Like, this really is them screaming, we want to attack the bot lane.
And remember, Kai'Sa, as strong as she is, aside from the ultimate, doesn't have any hard repositioning tools like dashes or blinks as we go through. And now, the Alawi locked in for Khan.
Oh, Alawi is so good into tanks because she gets the heal off them, can do percentage damages. And we'll see what Khan can do with this one, especially with a Trundle as the jungle backing him up.
So I'm going to say Kingzone will play towards top side. I think they're leaving her poor Gorilla and Prey alone on the bottom side. It just two completely different styles in this pick and ban phase. One team focusing on the bottom lane with the Varus and Thresh, and the other team defensive on that side, but extremely aggressive around Khan up there. And this is not a pick we have seen from Khan all year long, but it fits the style Kingzone has been playing so often.
See if that one could work out for Khan there in the top lane. We already mentioned he had a pretty rough game one here today. We'll see if the Alawi can make up for it. as EVOS will lock in the Lee Sin. They got rid of the Graves, they got rid of the Kazakhs, they were trying to keep him away from carries, but he's got another one lined up and ready to go to round out this roster that also locked into Talia moments ago.
I mean, Lee Sin definitely rising in popularity recently. It definitely requires a high execution, though. We're going to have to see him making use of the mobility. That's the advantage that you have with this champion. It allows you to make good choices. But if you go into straight up, hand-to-hand combat, then you're going to lose if you don't use the extra mobility to your advantage to create a good situation.
Man. You gotta gank. That's the thing. Talia as well, roaming towards that bottom side once again. Like, there are just so many tools to create an aggressive early to mid game on one side, and there's just the split pushing Illaoi on the other one from King. So they can also, of course, walk into a late game team fight, pop a 5-man ulti, and then smack, you win the whole thing.
Yeah, a 1 versus 1 with Illaoi, any tank basically versus Illaoi is just it feels like there's nothing you can do. It feels so futile because she can just easily control that lane so well. So we're gonna have to see if this all-in focus from EVOS towards the bottom side of the map will come to anything.
I mean, when people think of the VCS, they think of what we saw last year from the Gigabyte Marines. They think of this aggressive play style. And when you see champions like Talia, like Thresh, like Lee Sin, that kind of playmaking, it gets you excited to see exactly how they're going to play that out, especially against a team like Kingzone that coming into this, and especially after the performances yesterday, a lot of people were looking at it and saying, wow, how do you even deal with these guys? And then today, they got to see a little bit of kryptonite in their game against Fnatic. So we'll see if that can continue. I
mean, I think also just during the split, people have shown ways you could get advantages against them or you could beat them. It's not like they're the absolute perfect team. A lot of it depends on the pick and ban phase and what style they end up playing with. Is it Khan on this physical bruiser in the top lane that you can play around that he tends to execute almost perfectly? Well, it isn't this one. It wasn't earlier today with the Vladimir top. So it is Kingzone just going back towards what really has worked during the LCK split. And Prey and Gorilla, of course, kind of left on their own.
You talked during the lobby, during pick and ban, about how it looked like with the Illaoi locked in, Prey and Gorilla probably wouldn't be the focus early on in this game from Kingzone. So we'll see if they can survive being left alone here in this second game of the day.
Check the minimap right now. Can we hover up to Slay and run OP in the top lane? Because they're actually moving in. Do some special level 1 strategies. Fnatic found success in the first game, invading level 1 against Kingzone. They're doing it now.
Here we go. Khan trying to get away from this one. Ron OP will not go for any kind of a hook there. Of course, going for the hook at level 1 can not be ideal for your laning pattern, so he'll just continue having no ability skill just yet. Kingzone will engage nothing but invade the bottom lane, bottom jungle, I should say, getting a little bit of vision down. As you can hear the crowd getting excited from both sides.
Yeah, it's getting me excited when they start chanting during level 1 invades and you're hoping for some action there. Nobody runs into each other, but they do get the deep wards down, and Kingzone has done the counter invade on the opposite side of the map here at the red buff.
Oh, they're heading down to fight this one, but it's Kingzone with all the vision control. Legion is spotted on the ward.
And Kingzone do have a Braum as well, which brings quite a lot of
careful.
Kingzone has been found out here. 3 members in the enemy jungle. BDD tosses over that empowered Q. Not going to find much with it, but there will be a contest over the red buff here. 3 versus 3. The Kathian Rain will find a little bit of damage down onto Ron OP, but Kingzone will back themselves away.
Another small little thing here was also the ward being placed up there in the river towards the top lane from Kingzone. It actually meant they could see that it was not going to be a lane swap because they saw the recall from the virus. They knew it was going to be on the bottom side and they could kind of react accordingly.
Plus, what Kingzone were thinking here with invading on this red side, trying to deny that red from the Lee Sin, was then they could actually protect their bottom lane a little bit and keep the Lee Sin away from Prey and Gorilla. Right now, though, Yujin has gone red to red. It looks like he will be able to steal this away from Peanut.
And that is the thing about Kingzone trying to go in and steal away that opponent red buff at the start. It did put Peanut a little bit behind in terms of timing. He had to walk all the way back to his blue to start. That means Yijin has that small enough of a lead that he's able to invade, find that red for himself, and now maybe even look for something onto the immobile Illaoi here in the top lane. Khan knows something's a little bit funny, knows that Yijin's on this side of the map, will get himself back in time, put some damage down onto him there, and Yijin backs off.
A little bit of poke, of course, just onto Khan. Meanwhile, down the bottom lane, because Slay and Ron OP had to stay and secure the red buff, Prey and Gorilla made it back to bot lane earlier, picked up a bunch of CS that Slay ended up missing out on, so he's actually slightly behind in experience, and this is pretty big for the Kaiser here early game, not just getting pushed in and suddenly enemy team getting level 2 with a Thresh who can then set up an all-in. It's actually pretty important for them to make sure they can just stay very safe. And of course, Slay and Runner P got set a little bit behind because of it.
Yeah, Peanut finishes up most of the Raptors as well. Leaves one of the small chickens there left over to delay the respawn time of that camp. It being one of the most fruitful to take with lots of experience and gold in it, trying to dissuade Yijin from heading to the bottom side. Scuttle Crab also picked up for him. Meanwhile, since Lee Sin has been controlling top side of the map, you know, Ornn was able to get back over to the lane, push it back out to even, and he'll get the opposite scuttle.
And Yijin will just pick this one up for himself as the top lane star continues to push in for now. We talked about how the matchup against Alawi can feel pretty bad for a lot of tanks, but Ornn also has a lot of tools in the kit. As long as he can avoid the test of spirit, he can still push and play pretty well.
Yeah, the problem here for a lot of tanks is since tanks will inherently have low damage, and Alawi, with each tentacle that hits a champion, she'll heal 5% of her missing health. So it becomes very difficult for tanks to finish off, you know, any sort of fights with Alawi. In addition to her also being able to use the harsh lesson to take away maximum HP as well.
It's really easy to hit as well when it's a melee champion who walks in and starts smacking you in the face. You can just connect that, get the ghost and start hitting that in the face. And also with Klepto, you can get a ton of extra gold because of it. But Peanut's first gank is actually towards the bottom side here.
Flash already coming out. Slay potentially going to be stunned up here. It does come out. Already trying to get away, utilizing the lantern. Now having a flash out, getting himself back. Exhaust comes down. TP going to be channeled here now for EVOS. Looking to cut off the escape by Kingzone. Stark finds his way here into the fight now. BDD also making his way in. Stark going to be taken incredibly low. Tries to find the shield. Having a flash out now himself. BDD will also flash away. It's summoners left, right, and center. As Peanut will now be found out by Yijin there in the river. Goes to the Sonic Wave. Resonating Strike also coming through. Warzone looking to finish. This one on the arrow over the wall. Won't find it. But the fight continues as Warzone now backs away. Gorilla potentially in some trouble. Ron OP looking to find the hook. They jump back in. They find the damage on the Gorilla and first blood.
And during all of that, Khan pushed the lane, then he recalled back to the base, and he was looking for an opening to teleport, but he never teleports bottom. Kingzone make the call that this is a lost cause on the bottom side, and EVOS get first blood.
But everything that happened there early game in the bottom lane actually suddenly meant we had Slay and Runner P pushing forward. Peanut realized, okay, I don't need to go top yet. I can walk down bot lane. I was surprised, however, that a level 4 Ornn would just start TPing in instantly to respond to this gank here and start fighting. All 5 members suddenly appeared bot lane. I think almost every single summoner was used in that fight as well.
Oh yeah, it was an absolute madhouse.
Everybody calm down a little bit, even though we had a very exciting first blood. We'll go over the replay first here, but there are going to be some repercussions that we can look at afterwards. Anyways, the flash Q here, make sure that one's going to hit. The heal comes in, though, barely. Peanut stays alive.
Yeah, that heal saved him, but it's not over yet. And this is what you talked about before, Kobe. We still have Khan in base with TP ready, but there's really nowhere for him to TP on. And therefore he doesn't join, and suddenly it is just first blood.
Yeah, they didn't expect the chase that EVOS was going to continue on with this play.
No one expects a level 4 TP there.
All the way up into the jungle and around. Afterwards, Lee Sin was able to do some counter jungling as well, take away from Peanut on that bottom side, and now Yijin does have a level lead for himself.
And of course with Khan just returning to the top lane, he is now currently about 25 CS ahead of the enemy top laner, so this actually costs Stark a lot.
Those were the repercussions I was going to talk about when the replay is about to come up. It's already a horrible matchup for an Ornn to try and lane against Alawi, but with this giant lead, there is going to be no chance that he gains any sort of ground. So EVOS know that this is a very weak point for them on the map, and they should probably continue to focus anywhere but the top side, especially since it's an Infernal Drake, because you get to a situation where because it's a double melee up there, even if Lee Sin went to try and gank Khan, Alawi can turn that around into a double kill for having availability of her ultimate. Here it goes, though. Talia
coming up. Warzone looking to make this one happen, but the damage comes in!
Well, it's not a double kill, but he does get a 2v1 kill.
This is one of those champions. It's like Darius. You hear about these kinds of champs. They can just turn the 1v2 right back around, and that is what Alawi is so good at.
So, don't go back top lane.
No.
You just have to accept that this Illaoi is going to be completely crazy, and if you can just play on the other side while her TP is on cooldown, like right now, you can get some kills down there near Prey and Gorilla.
Yeah, that's a feels bad. Just as they finished saying it, I mean, we've seen so many situations where it turns like that, and sometimes you do just have to give up on the weak area of the map. Right now, though, Yijin's going for the red steal, and he's going to get caught.
Yijin wants it, will not get it, though. Peanut walks in and bunks it with the club, securing that one for his team, and Yijin now has to make a quick exit.
Let's just highlight how risky that play actually was, because his own top laner was still running from base to get back to lane. It was just him and Talia being fairly nearby against 3 members of Kingzone, and he still went for it and tried to get here. So a risky play, didn't die because of it, but we get to see Illaoi return, and she's currently sitting with 72 CS and almost a Black Cleaver.
Yeah, I mean, Yijin is able to use his ultimate and ward hop to get out of this one. Here's another look at the 2v1. It's just going to literally be Khan flashing, ulting onto Stark.
Slap.
Yeah, flash slap, there you go. It's a harsh lesson, he has learned it. Hopefully the whole team has learned it, and they can redirect towards the other side.
It could also be one of those moments where you feel like it didn't work the first time, but maybe if we do the exact same thing,
no,
it might work the second time.
No.
We have to wait and see what the next ulti.
Deficio is the devil on your shoulder, telling you. Here we go, though. Rano P's running for his life.
Rano P, not level 6 yet, trying to hook over to the Infernal Drake to get himself away from this one.
Flash.
But he does not have the flash, so he'll go down as Kingzone grab themselves that kill.
So again, I actually want to highlight how risky the play is from the get-go. He's AD carries at his own turret, killing the minion wave. He doesn't have backup from anyone, really, and he walks into the jungle to place a ward. It's some of these invades that we see from this team that just gets punished really hard if another team has really good communication or spots you on a ward. And it's like kind of unnecessary. It's very tiny wins you get by maybe stealing a red buff or maybe plucking a ward just over the wall near the enemy blue. It's really not necessary if you don't have the backup.
Yeah, and if your flash was barely about to
That's
come off the
another one.
cooldown, couple more seconds and that would have been available. Control ward's going to be cleared out here, though, by Peanut, and Kingzone retaking control of the game.
Kingzone now sitting on an almost 1,000 gold lead for themselves after those past couple of successes that they've found in the fights. Khan's dominance over the top lane isn't stopping anytime soon. That CS lead has been brought up to 50 now as he maintains a 1,300 gold lead. Deficio mentioned the Black Cleaver, very powerful combat item there, going up against what you see Stark building with much less effective overall stats, having just the Glacial Shroud, the Ruby Crystal, the armor. It's not looking good up there.
That's correct. And a couple of minutes ago, we had that Karn TP on cooldown, so EVOS actually had a chance to go bot side and make some plays. But now both TPs are ready for Kingzone, making it very difficult to do something. Peanut flashing away.
Good avoid there. Not getting picked off by the power of the Talia, the Seismic Slam, Seismic Shove. But Khan will just not stop this. Constantly underneath the enemy turret, constantly making the moves, constantly pushing up.
Yeah, once you're able to land the Test of Spirit, you can farm with your Klepto off of that Spirit, and he continues to push in. That turret very close to going down, and Kingzone actually don't even have to apply any extra pressure up there to get this objective. So that is basically, well, never mind.
All right, here we go. EVOS looking to start this one off, able to find the collapse, able to find the damage down onto the enemy AD carry. Prey's already out of the picture. Yijin going to be avoiding some of this for now. Peanut having to walk away. The horn gets sounded, but Peanut will still be able to avoid it for now. He will not escape the ensuing collapse. Warzone grabs the kill onto him, and that's 2 for 0 going over to the EVOS.
Great change here from EVOS. They completely give up the top side of the map. They look for a play away from the Illaoi. They have Stark. He teleports down even to come in and pick up an extra kill for themselves. They're also going to turn that into an objective if they could finish off the turret, but the minions are down, and Yijin close to going down as well.
The turret will barely be protected by the Kingzone bottom lane as topside Khan does manage to grab that first structure of the game and all the bonus gold that comes along with it.
So we get a few more kills for EVOS here, and we get a mid lane turret that's very low. Bot lane turret will take a bit of damage. Osley might just back away now. The Prey actually returned. Second time that Khan saves the TP, stays top lane. He tried to interrupt Stark. When that didn't work, well, he just stepped back and killed the turret. I like the engage here from Rano P. This time he brings back up.
Yeah, flash play, able to get the hook right after. So they immediately kill Prey. Yijin then is able to dodge out so he doesn't go down. Here comes the Oran Horn.
So should you hit that on the 2 members to the right, or should you aim for Peanut here?
mean, he missed it on Peanut, and they still got the kill, so...
Well, because they had Thresh chasing the 2 members, I would go for the 2 members. Especially if you're able to coordinate the cooldowns there, and Ron was able to tell them that they would be able to follow up on that horn. Regardless, though, they got the extra kill, didn't get the turret in the end.
And looking at the stats on your screen right now, you can see in their wins at MSI so far, kills at 15 are much higher than what this game is showing so far for EVOS. They need to put a few more bodies on the ground if they want to match those stats and keep themselves going at the pace that they have in previous victories.
Exactly. The way they've been winning is simply by just being super aggressive, force a lot of fights, both skirmishes like we're seeing in this one, but also the big all-in team fights like we saw against Team Liquid. This game here is still focused on the bottom side for them. Warzone, he learned, don't go top lane, aim towards the bottom side, and they really want to kill this turret and then the mid lane one to fully open up this map, and then they can keep controlling Drakes after.
Slay and Ron OP continue to try and pressure as much as they can here into this bottom lane. Varus very good during the laning phase. We know how potent of an AD carry he can be early on. Rage Blade not completed for Slay yet, though.
Oh, Ron!
Slay does have his. Ron OP could be in a bit of a spot here. Throws out the lantern in case Warzone wanted to get any closer. Ron OP now still going to be in some trouble. More damage coming through. Gorilla barely getting himself away. But the piercing arrow into the back takes it down. Nice kick. Get the hell out of here, says Yijin. Knocking Khan all the way back out of the fight.
That's hilarious to watch as Khan tries to flash in. In the end, though, Kingzone retained control around Dragon. Starting up this Infernal. We'll see if EVOS have anything to say about it.
Oh, Warzone is very low on mana. I think they just have to let it go. Another thing here is Warzone is not running Dematerializer. At least there's absolutely no stacks he could have used. And there is a banner on BDD's side. Normally when we see the banner mid laners, let's actually see a bot lane first.
Right, the horn gets sounded. Stark trying to move forward onto this
W.
one. Trey walking himself away. Piercing arrow yet again. Slay is on point with these today.
Yeah, you can tell that Peanut and Kingzone knew that there was a possibility of a play taking off here, but they'd been seen walking over there, and EVOS very happy to take some extra kills along with the bottom turret.
And you might be surprised with the damage from that Q. Well, he's maxing Q in this game here. Able to just snipe people left and right and surprise, maybe pray a little bit. But as I said before here, the banner of command is going to be huge for BDD because his job is to try and keep Warzone in mid. And he can do that, seeing as there is no Dematerializer. The fight from before, I think Ron OP again, a little bit aggressive. His jungler is not even there yet, but they do end up trading because Slay lands the Q right there to kill Gorilla.
Yeah, and that was even with exhaust on him. There's the kick away to disengage initially. Even tried to wall them afterwards, but in the end, that ward that Slay placed over the wall did come in very helpful later, and they got some more kills back.
Gentlemen, you know what I love to see right now is that icon up in the top left of your screen. Next Drake, Infernal #2. Means both these teams will have plenty more to fight for, especially on the side of Kingzone, where you have this heavy damage top laner that's also going to benefit so much from that increased offensive ability.
Yeah, and he's the one who's been farming like a madman. He's so far ahead, but it's only one player.
Right.
Everyone else and anywhere else on the map, we're seeing EVOS actually go toe-to-toe, if not even win some of the fights. And that's one of the things I love about the international tournaments, is we have some teams that play a lot faster than some of the teams we see back in the LCK. There is more kills, more fights. And it's been a very effective way, especially against Prey and Gorilla, to force them into a lot of skirmishes and actually try and shut them down. It's been working okay in this one, and now they're putting pressure on mid-turret.
2 turrets down now for the side of EVOS to the 1 that Kingzone collected for themselves, but Khan will look to put in some more work here on the other side of the map after finishing off that top side. He knows that Stark can't have anything to do with this 1 versus 1 scenario. Khan is way too strong at this point in time. Yijin finding the Sonic Wave onto Peanut, looking to kick him right back over. Ron OP not there for the follow-up onto him, instead looking to go for BDD. Ornn ultimate comes through now as the Talia wall will also cut off the escape. Turret goes down bottom side, but it's still going to be Kingzone who's in trouble here in the mid lane. Yijin almost drops, but almost not going to do it. It's 2 for 0 going over to EVOS.
Again, the right idea here, EVOS. They know this is an untenable situation with this Alawi bottom, so you have to make plays elsewhere on the map. And with Khan committing to the split push down bottom, EVOS are barely able to get a couple more kills and push on the turret.
Ron OP just playing the mind games right there, but EVO's doing a great job at sacrificing what would need to be sacrificed anyway and finding victories in other places. Khan will find the tier 2 here in the bottom lane to equalize the overall turret count, keep the gold so close, but I love the fact that EVOS is going this aggressive.
Yeah, and look how fast they are.
Yeah,
That's insane. You can't play against that. That's why they shut them down and get a bunch of kills. it's just a race against Khan in these side lanes. Like, how fast can Khan take your base and try and get to the Nexus compared to how fast can EVOS force the fight against the rest of Kingzone?
And EVOS do have a lot of playmaking tools, you know, in the champions that they have drafted. But you also have to say that Kingzone are extending away from Khan and away from, you know, this Alawi pressure point and allowing some of these openings to take place.
And on your screen right now, you can see, even though this game, 3-7, isn't an ideal score for Kingzone, when you compare this to the loss they suffered earlier today against Fnatic, the gold difference is far, far different from what we see in this game. Yes, they're behind, but it's 100 gold compared to the 6,000 that they were just a minute and a half from now in that first game.
I love how EVOS are staying proactive here and continuing to look for these opportunities. Now, if they're able to control vision a bit more, they could actually, you know, really snowball this effectively on the top side of the map. But right now, Kingzone have still been able to keep up a decent amount of wards, and they do see that the Rift Herald going down here means that top turret is going to be the next point.
But look at the minimap. This just describes the game perfectly. Khan is literally hitting their inhib turret while they're killing a Rift Herald 19 minutes into the game. This Alawi is unstoppable, but it doesn't matter as long as the rest of the team can play this proactive.
Yeah, you can keep running away from the Alawi until she gets to your Nexus.
Yeah, that's when you start reacting.
At that point, you're going to have to
Oh, she's TPing in. She canceled.
All right, TP canceled is a pretty big, important resource to
they can
not
fight
have
now.
available
They can
on
fight.
the side of Kingzone. The wall is going to be coming through. Shelly makes her way into the fight. Turret's still going to be holding on for now. Once that drops, you'll likely see the engage here. EVOS, 1OP, able to time that one perfectly. Goes in, drops the box, backing himself away. A nice kick back, able to find Gorilla, going to be taken low. But it's Yijin who drops first. Prey making his escape now as Warzone will continue forward with the threaded volley. Nothing else going to be found. Shelly still alive. Slay wants to continue this pressure, pushing up further, firing a single arrow. Shelly going to be tanking this one for just a moment. Oh, that hook was so close on the BDD.
Oh, yeah. Yijin really wanted to kick in Prey there, but actually kicks in the Braum. So
another one.
They only go a little bit even.
But with Khan still occupied bottom and with no teleport available, EVOS is not willing to back away just yet. They want the tier 2 in the top lane. They know they have to trade like this. Speaking of trades, it's Prey in mid taking down the tier 1. 5-4 turret count still. We have structures just dropping all over this map.
It's all over the place, but we're watching EVOS here go toe-to-toe against Kingzone. Coming into this group stage, the first game we see them play is against Flash Rolls. They get absolutely destroyed. 25 minutes in, they're down like 20k gold. Looks like they don't even belong in the group stages, but then they bounce back, beat Team Liquid, and now they're playing against Kingzone here. They're being super active, they're finding great engages, and they just never slow down. Great game so far.
And they can't slow down either, especially now that Kingzone has 2 Infernal Drakes under the belt. Another one will be spawning just 6 minutes from now. Let's take another look at that fight here in the top lane.
And they have done such a good job of using their abilities to kind of corral Kingzone and force them into these fights. But yeah, the picture-in-picture here, we have them forcing again, already starting Baron's down to 4,000 health.
EVOS saying, all right, you want to keep on going. Prey looking to jump in with the killer instinct. Going to be grabbed by the death sentence. Peanut over the wall, but it's secured by Yijin. Now Peanut finds himself stuck in the pit. It's 2 dead already on the side of EVOS. Make it 3. Knockup comes through, able to find its way onto Khan, who uses the stopwatch to keep himself alive. Warzone and Stark, the 2 remaining members with the Baron buff, having to walk themselves away. Make it 1 man standing. EVOS finds Baron, but they take severe loss.
Yeah, that was a very high price to pay for a single Baron buff getting out there. So incredibly close, and we didn't get to see the setup, but EVOS continuing to force here, and they want to be able to use this Baron buff to get inside inhibitor turrets.
They had all the information they needed. The entire jungle is warded, but it is so early in the game, they decide to engage the big objective. They drop low, and of course now, the rest of Kingzone just show up to try and finish them. I think Stark was still running to try and join the team, so it was just Yijin who ended up tanking most of it, but what a crazy call, and it just highlights how aggressive they're playing.
And how quick they're playing. They have to make these decisions so fast that you saw there, Lee Sin kicking out, and then a follow-up with Ron OP landing the hook, going over on the edge, trying to buy some time and trying to split the team there. Now, though, they do have the single Baron buff left on Ornn, on Stark. The problem there is that they won't be able to buff up multiple minion waves.
Right.
So it's going to have to be a choice here between them, you know, trying to defend against the Alawi that has headed right back to the bottom side. It is going to go right for the inhibitor turrets.
And checking in on where we are, because we've made a point of demonstrating exactly how far ahead Khan is this entire game. 269 to 139 farm. He's got both Sterix Gauge and Guardian Angel. He's such a force of nature right now.
And I think he has to join the team because with a Baron buff, it's very hard to race if EVOS group up as 5 members and try and actually push on the inhibitor turrets here. With the added power of the Baron pushing, Khan's not going to have a lot of time.
Let's try and look at the min-map and see if Khan can find a ward he could potentially TP on in case a fight breaks out. There's a couple, a red one behind. Yeah, Kingzone just pinged the one in mid. He's on the inhib turret now. EVOS are going straight for the turret. They need to all in for it here. Khan wants to trade.
The turret in the EVO's base is very, very low. It looks like they will just opt for the overall trade on this one. Mid lane inhibitor turret dropping rather rapidly. Kingzone not wanting to fight for this at all, but EVO stays in the enemy base, thinking about how they're going to go about this one. Prey coming in from the side, Redemption coming down. EVO's pushing onto Nexus turrets now, thinking about backing away. Star going to fire off the ulti. Khan wants to make his way in the fight as they are going to take Slay incredibly low. Khan into the back line, looking to find the damage. Slay taken down. Stark's going to be number 2 as they'll make it 3 with Ron OP, and that is Kingzone with a massive success.
Their jaws shut so quickly here inside of the base. EVOS find themselves pushed up against the Nexus turrets, and they get flanked from all sides. Right now, BDD teleporting. They don't want to let anyone escape.
Gorilla should be able to find his opponent here in that tribe rush. Warzone will be found out. Seismic shove keeping Gorilla away for now. Gorilla very, very low on mana. Doesn't have a lot of tools to do anything to this. But with BDD coming up behind him very shortly, Warzone doesn't have much of a way out of this one except back onto the spawn platform. See around. Perhaps in about 40 seconds, but the rest of Kingzone will be pushing up. They will be taking advantage of this big fight they just won.
I thought for a moment BDD was TPing in to try and go for a Nexus turret, but it was just to chase down to Talia. We get the next replay.
So they started off here with the Ornn ultimate being used very early on, and this is a spread out Kingzone, so they didn't really have a good area to use it, and without that, you know, they don't hold anyone from Kingzone down. It feels like they were just swarmed and taken advantage of so quickly.
Yeah, you could see exactly how successful they were in that Acer Predator replay. They found the targets they needed to find. They deleted everyone so rapidly. And look at the damage charts on your screen. 4,000 damage from the Karma, 3,000 from the Kaisa. The only person to even hit 4 digits, and I mean just barely, was Warzone on the side of EVOS.
We're only 25 minutes in, and I just want to look at this graphic we showed yesterday because it really fits why EVOS is actually able to put so much pressure on Kingzone. It's because, as you can see all the way to the right, we have the VCS. Ton of kills per minute, extremely active region. You never give the other team any chance to sit and stall, and then LCK all the way to the left. That's the slow games with not that many kills happening. Because EVOS are used to playing this very aggressive style in a very aggressive region, they can constantly force Kingzone into some situations they're not used to.
That was the difference in all of the other fights compared to the one we just saw, though. The one we just saw, EVOS, they pushed so far up into the hands of Kingzone, and they were unable to actually keep them in the same spot. Before, we had good uses of Talia wall and the multiple uses of crowd control to actually force.
We have to remember, it was the entire region's kills per minute. It's also you dying, obviously, add to that stat, and that also happens a lot, because when you keep playing forward, you tend to overextend from time to time. But Kingzone, 4K goalie, double Infernal, so a lot of things are in their favor. But it still really feels like EVOS, the next fight, can easily go towards them if they just get a pick first.
Yeah, what they're doing right now, they've been holding the super minions that are streaming out of bottom lane here with multiple members pushing on this side of the map, while also simultaneously having Stark on the top side trying to prep that wave. Just try and get something going for them.
Third Infernal now, bit of poke onto Ron OP.
Third Infernal is going to be a big damage bonus for the side of Kingzone if they can secure this one, and it looks like EVOS isn't in much of a spot to look to stop it just yet. Khan will secure that one. Lantern over the wall gets Yijin back out, but that's 3 Infernals to none. 24% bonus to AD and AP for the side of Kingzone.
That's going to be a lot of damage coming from especially Prey, but also Khan, of course, benefiting greatly from this with his build. Baron spawning in about a minute's time. I don't think any of the teams need to force anything before it's up and alive. And then we suddenly have to look at this Kingzone lineup with Khan in the 5-on-5, able to land, potentially a huge ulti. He doesn't need to split push anymore. He can just stay with the team.
Especially if Kingzone are able to orchestrate the fight once again, where they have a lot of room to move. If there's a lot of room where the fight takes place, then they aren't going to be hit multiple people with the Ornn ultimate, and that's one of the biggest things there for EVOS. Using the Talia wall, try and group them up,
Ball comes through, Warzone chasing after them. Ornn ulti also going to be intersecting that wall. It will be mostly blocked up there by Gorilla. The attempt from EVOS is just not good enough. Kingzone doing well to get themselves away from that one. Not really too afraid of it because they've got Khan with the group. It's like you were talking about Deficio. He doesn't have to split anymore. And when the job that you're tasked with is engaging with this team with him there, it's just so hard. And
now two of the big ways they can actually start a fight is on cooldown. Only Gorilla to use his flash. That means Kingzone get mid lane control. They can move towards the Baron. And if you're forced to run at an Illaoi, that's not going to be great.
Exactly. The strategy against Illaoi late.
That's what happens when it's your spirit who gets tested by that Illaoi. Redemption comes in to heal Slay up just a little bit, but it's still not a lot. Inhibitor respawning on the side of Kingzone.
Meanwhile, bot lane, the minions are currently hitting the Nexus turret. They actually just dropped low. It's going to die. Kingzone, they keep control around Baron. No one can really go back because there's no TP.
Yeah, Kingzone just want to apply the slow pressure here.
Inhibitor respawning means that the super minion isn't going to get much use. He will just sort of stay there brainwashed, trying to hit an invulnerable target. But that little bit of saving grace may hold the line for now. But EVOS are still in a very tough spot, having to protect this Baron.
They are in a tough spot. So how you're going to want to approach late game team fights versus an Illaoi when she's already grouped with the team is you have to use your movement abilities like the Talia shove to try and kite this Illaoi and push him away, focus someone else down, because if you fall into the trap of focusing down Khan, then it's going to be very difficult. Has the GA, has the percentage of missing health heals that are come through, as well as the extra shield from the Sterix Gauge. So someone else has to be the target. They have to try and collapse on prey somehow.
Find a death sentence, but it's
every time
do a lot. Not even a death sentence, a piercing arrow, I should say, is Slay again going to be taken below half health just from landing the test of spirit and blasting that little spirit apparition thing that appears from it. You can put so much damage down. Ornn ultimate being used as a disengage with multiple members of EVOS down to about half HP. That looks like the green light for Kingzone to go to Baron.
Yeah, when they have to use the Ornn ultimate as a defensive ability there, that is a very bad sign. Here goes Kingzone again, trying to bait, trying to draw out more from EVS.
They can find Yijin, that would be absolutely huge here. Peanut going forward, dropping down the pillar. Gorilla providing the way out for these guys, throwing up the shield. Kingzone just seems to be not worried whatsoever as the wall will not catch anyone out, and Kingzone again just rallies back up as 5, always ready for a fight.
Yeah, the game has slowed down a little bit, which is heavily in Kingzone's favor, because they're actually able to set up properly now, get the vision they need. They step in, they keep forcing out these ultis from EVOS, and that means suddenly the surprise factor of a big fight breaking out where one member gets caught out, it's just greatly reduced. You also get to see Slay with the... Oh, actually, let's see what happens here.
Legion. Oh! Can't quite get away from the isolated Acathian rain. Missile after missile finds its way onto the EVOS jungler, and that means Kingzone can take this Baron down, no contest. You will not even see an attempt from EVOS. They know there's no chance to steal, and now they're tasked with the very, very difficult job of keeping the base alive against the 5-man Kingzone squad, all Baroned up, all ready to go.
Yeah, the last 5 minutes we've seen have been very patient strategy here from Kingzone. Over and over again, using the Fog of War to their advantage, drawing EVS to them, and slowly taking out cooldown after cooldown after cooldown until they finally get the kill on the jungler, and now they've got Baron to push with.
But no matter what happens in this game from here on and out, we have seen today how some of these teams, by playing very proactive, very aggressive early to mid-game, have really been able to dance with Kingzone. They've been able to challenge them, get a lot of picks, and stay either even in gold or, as Fnatic did, actually kind of snowball out of control. This one was really just Khan, who was really far ahead of his counterpart. Like at this point, he's currently sitting on 15,000 gold, and poor Stark is not even at 10,000 yet. So there is quite a difference between the two. But that kind of highlights most of the goal difference between the teams.
And this second game has really been a story of redemption for Khan after his first game earlier today, where his Vladimir performance was really just not up to the expectation that a lot of people had, considering him one of the best top laners in the world right now. But this Illaoi game, he's seriously showcasing what he's able to do when he's put into a matchup in a situation where he can just run wild. Now with the Death's Dance completed, he's that much scarier and that much harder to kill.
All right, well, Team EVOS, they do hit a Varus ultimate here, which changed to Prey.
Oh, jump in.
But now Ron OP may be caught out, taken down. Prey unstoppable as Warzone finds himself now isolated. He'll go down here too. Khan finds his way into a 1 versus 3, but as Alawi, that's exactly where he's comfortable being. Pulls out the test of spirit, nearly takes down Yejin, having to flash away from the power of the Karma, following that one up. Inner Flame not quite going to find the mark, but Prey now dominating. Takes down the enemy AD carry. They will make a clean sweep out of EVOS and move their way right towards the Nexus.
And what a game it has been. Kingzone going to finish it off with the Baron buff here, pushing down bottom side, but man, did EVOS put on a good show.
A valiant effort from EVOS, but Kingzone showcasing why they are such an incredible team, how they're able to play around their advantages, their disadvantages. They weathered the storm of the early aggression, the early fighting, the early picks from EVOS. They let Khan scale up, and then he groups up, and everything is just an avalanche of Kingzone success.
Khan got to join the team, but also Prey. A person we didn't get to talk a lot about because his job in the early game was to try and not die. And then he just slowly picked up more farm. He got to 3-4 items. And in the end, of course, a Kai'Sa can completely win you the late game team fights with all the damage coming from her passive. But just the fact that we got such an aggressive play was what we talked about in Champions League. Like just attack the bottom side.